Good morning, and well, no, not morning. It's the afternoon. I am recording this at 3:30 my time, which is 1:30 most of your guys' time. This is the Lakers Lowdown Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, Senior Lakers Insider for Clutch Points, and today on the show, we have some stuff to catch up on. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have your questions about what happened with Brook Lopez over the course of the night. I heard a little bit more about that. Don't want to spend too much time on it because obviously he isn't a Laker. We will then talk about guys who might be Lakers, starting with Deandre Ayton, and then also Al Horford, who I mentioned right at the onset of the offseason and then just kind of never came back to him. But we'll kind of update you guys on that one, and then set you guys up for this isn't going to be very long. This is a lowdown after all. A little bit later tonight, Raj Chapalu and I will be in the lounge live as we react to whatever happens from now until then. That'll be at about 6:30 Pacific time, 8:30 my time. So let's go ahead, let's dive on in, and we'll start with Brook Lopez. Quick reminder, please do hit subscribe if you guys are new here to the channel as all of this news is hitting. And then to those of you who are not new but tuning in, please hit that like button. Everybody, please hit the like button. And then if you guys are listening to this in its podcast form, which will go up as soon as I'm done recording, please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you get your pods, preferably on Odyssey, and rate, review, all of those good things. All right, let's dive on in again. We're diving in a second time. So what happened with Brook Lopez? Well, all offseason, the indications were that the Lakers really wanted Brook Lopez. And that was the kind of singular connection that was being made there. And what turns out is the Lakers liked Lopez. I had been hearing at like the taxpayer mid-level exception, which is about $5-ish million a year. As you guys might have noticed, he signed with the Clippers for $9 million a year. And what now appears to be happening based on some of the conversations I've had since then is, as we are probably pretty used to as Lakers fans, the Lakers were used as leverage. My reporting on the Lakers' interest in Lopez, let alone the fact that they might be the favorites or are getting ready to sign him, in talking about that acquisition in the way that I did, that led the Clippers to raising the price on Brook Lopez, and he obviously signs there. The Lakers not getting Lopez stings a little bit, especially with Clint Capella signing in Houston, obviously on the heels of Dorian Finney-Smith signing in Houston. Now, I'm going to talk about Al Horford in a little bit, but one thing that I think is becoming pretty clear based on the types of centers that the Lakers have been in on, Deandre Ayton's a bit of a outlier to this. We'll talk about him in a second, obviously. But it does appear that the Lakers are interested in veteran centers, maybe preferably ones that space the floor, as they probably set out on trading for their actual starting center for next season. The types of players that they are looking to acquire via free agency, they appear more to be backups than primary center options. And it makes sense, kind of the change of pace, also being a steady veteran that can help whatever maybe younger center that they bring in, and be a steady force in the locker room is something that the Lakers are really interested in, especially with somebody like Al Horford. But yeah, the Lopez thing, I probably should have been more in tune with the idea that the Lakers would be used for leverage, as that is something I have grown up with in covering this team. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of dropped the ball on that front. But all that honestly matters here is that he isn't a Laker and that the Lakers still have a ton of work to do, starting with their pursuit of Deandre Ayton. Ayton is an interesting situation. I just finished writing about this for Clutch Points. I will narrate that as soon as it is edited and posted for another Lowdown episode, specifically for the RSS feed. But Ayton's interesting, man. There just hasn't been a ton of noise on this guy since he was bought out. Um, I think we could take that to mean that there isn't a whole bunch of teams falling over themselves to sign him, which I find interesting. He is still a young center who has averaged a double-double for the entirety of his 5-year NBA career. He's a former number 1 overall pick. He hasn't suffered any crazy injuries or anything like that. And yet it just doesn't seem as if there are any teams that are like, we got to get this guy. The Lakers included. This is a situation where, based on a lot of the conversations I've had, not all of them, people are kind of split on this front, but based on a lot of the conversations I've had, people are mostly connecting the dots and thinking that, yeah, the Lakers are probably going to sign this guy. But nobody is all that confident in that prediction, including people close to the Lakers. And B, even that is like, yeah, but like somebody has to, and the Lakers still are working for more center depth that he would be a part of. He's not like their primary plan for whoever's going to fill their center spot. I just said it, and we'll talk about him a little bit more in a second. Again, obviously with Al Horford, they're still combing the trade market for a center. I think they want a variety of centers to be able to throw out there. They want a floor spacer. This is something they've talked about, but it's continued on throughout the offseason. They want a floor spacer. They want a bruiser. They want a cerebral center. They want somebody who can get up above the rim and yam on entire cities at a time. They want a whole bunch of big bodies to be able to, not to, so that they can avoid what they ran into in the postseason, where they only had Jackson Hayes, and that clearly wasn't enough. And um, I, I- I've been hearing that Jackson isn't really an option for them moving forward. Maybe they go back and they kick the tires on him again, based on the rest of the free agent market being pretty underwhelming. But I still would be pretty surprised if that happened. And yeah, it's a this Ayton thing. I I see it. I get it. I get the concerns about him. I also understand why a whole bunch of people are kind of pinning their hopes and dreams, because he is this talent, and the Lakers need talent. But I also understand, and I hope most of you are sitting there pretty skeptical about the fact that this guy is available. Again, he's only been in the league 5 years. He has averaged 14 and 10 for his career. He's a legit 7-footer. He has real measurables. He's a former number 1 overall pick. No crazy surgeries, or like he has missed plenty of time, but it's not like he had his entire knee reconstructed or anything like that. He's just kind of lazy, when you hear from people around the league, and he's just not considered by many a winning big and a winning NBA player. And so you balance all of that out, and you arrive at this place where DeAndre Ayton hits the free agent market, and everybody's like, yeah, we'll come back to that. Al Horford's interesting. Al Horford is an interesting one. I was asking around about him heading into the offseason, and not very many people knew what to think about Horford. He's obviously very old, and has lost a couple of steps as such. He has improved as a shooter over the course of his career, and is a bona fide 3-point threat at the center position. Um, he is incredibly well respected throughout the NBA for being a winner, for being a steady presence in the locker room, for just being a professional. And I think that's something that the Lakers are really valuing. Unfortunately, they aren't alone on this front. The Golden State Warriors have been linked to Al Horford and are probably considered the favorites to sign him around the league. He There was some connection there to the Denver Nuggets with Al Horford, though they just traded for Jonas Valanciunas, so I don't think Horford is going there. I'm sure there are people in Boston who would like to have him back, but I don't think that's happening. So, maybe he goes to Indiana to be kind of a winning presence as they prepare for probably what is going to be a down season. I should have probably talked a little bit more about DeAndre Ayton's potential suitors. Maybe I'll come back and I'll record a fourth segment to this just about Ayton's suitors and why the Lakers are more, kind of considered the favorites compared to a whole bunch of teams that are pretty lukewarm at best on him. But Horford does have a real market. I don't know what number he would probably sign for. Lopez got 9. Capella got about 9. I would probably say Horford will get around there too. So the Lakers are probably in play with the 8.3 million that they can offer if they want to use all of that on Horford. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, whether it's Horford getting all 9 and then Ayton getting the biannual exception. I don't think that would be insane if Ayton gets the minimum. But his reputation is way far down there. So who knows? But let's really quickly, let's talk about the other suitors potentially for Ayton, and then we'll get out of here. So Ayton, if you go through the potential teams that might be interested in Ayton, hold on one second. Okay, cool. Oh, wow. Tim Hardaway Jr. to the Nuggets. But yeah, so Ayton's suitors, let's just kind of go by the way I think I listed them in my article. But you kind of started with Milwaukee heading into this morning, right? And you were thinking they have their full mid-level exception. They just lost Brook Lopez. They probably really need talent there. Giannis doesn't want to be surrounded by the assembly, the group of talent that they had at that point. Okay, it makes some sense. Maybe they're desperate enough to spend up or pay up on Ayton. Then they make the Miles Turner acquisition. They waive and stretch Damian Lillard, and if I'm DeAndre Ayton and I'm looking for a spot to kind of resuscitate my career and have ample opportunity to do so, I don't know that I would go to a place that just traded for or that just signed its starting center. So I don't necessarily see that. And then you have Indiana, right, that just lost Miles Turner. They aren't going to have Tyrese Halliburton for most of this year. Maybe you just sign a stopgap center to shore up that position and then, kind of rethink things after the season. Maybe I could kind of see that, but I'm not positive that Indiana is really going to be looking to spend. They just let their starting center, who was their longest tenured player, walk for nothing as they prepare for a season that will likely be without Tyrese Halliburton. So maybe they're interested in DeAndre Ayton, but I don't think they're going to be interested in using their entire $14 million non-taxpayer mid-level exception to bring him in. Golden State Warriors, right? Like they could be interested in him. They could eventually get full access to their full non-taxpayer mid-level exception. That's a possibility. But they just add James Wiseman, and I don't think are all that interested in diva centers who aren't renowned for work ethic. I think it's far more likely they pay what is necessary to win the bidding contest on Al Horford. And if they have some room left over, maybe they go out and get Ayton. But I don't necessarily see the fit there, especially, given Steve Kerr's belief in culture and commitment and all of that there. So if you don't include Jonathan Kuminga. So there's questions there too. The Lakers, right? They have a real need there, and they have $8.3, I believe, million of their non-taxpayer mid-level exception. Is that something that they consider? Possibly, but they're also trying to build their organizational culture, and they are also interested in several other avenues. So there isn't a single team in the NBA right now, and maybe there's a dark horse team that nobody is talking about. Happens all the time. But as it stands right now, I haven't seen or heard of a team that is like, we need Ayton. That team just doesn't exist. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. All right, that's going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lowdown podcast. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show so that whenever we do go live this evening, you guys will be there to catch that show. It'll be Raj and me breaking down Jake LaRavia as an addition, as well as reacting to any news that hits while we are talking. So you're going to want to tune into that. And then, for the remainder of the day, heading into the evening, I'm Anthony Irwin saying, have a great rest of your day. Make somebody else's, and I will talk to you a little bit later tonight.